We've learned two things from this simple side table adventure. Even the simplest looking projects take long, and they're not as simple as they look. And the second thing is, practice makes perfect. Because look at these. I still can't believe we made these without my hands, from concepts in our minds. They're even better in person. It started when we made side tables for a friend of ours using leftover pieces of wood she had. Once those were gone, there was a big void left, literally. So we had to make some for ourselves. Just so you know, this is the actual speed at which the pieces were cut. Really slowly and precisely. Took forever. If it feels slow to watch, I can assure you it was tedious in person. So let's ramp up the speed a little. Much better. And just to remind you, this is how slow it was actually going. Here's all the pieces cut up and mitered, ready for the first part of assembly. Now you know we don't do things the easy way, so we decided to make two pairs, one to keep and one to sell. Working on our 4 tables was so exhausting, but we did it. Using the trusty glue spreader and some right angle clamps, the top of the tables were glued to the backboard. Of course, screws were added for reinforcement. One of the sets would have a middle shelf. Also, we decided to play around with different ways to deal with the edges of the plywood. Let me know which edge you prefer. The first method was to seal the edges of the plywood with wood filler or caulk. Just before I started working on the table, my white caulk bottle fell and the nozzle broke off. I tried to hot glue it on, and as you'll see, that did not work. I ended up just using my fingers to put on the caulk. As you can guess, it wasn't a great process. This is not the primer I would have chosen, but it's what I could find. I mean, I guess it does the job. I started by using the sponge brush to brush it on, and then following it up with a sponge roller because I didn't want to pour the primer. Then I remembered I could just line the paint tray with plastic and not worry about cleanup. Then we're cooking with gas because it was a smoother and faster process. Once the primer was dry, I sanded with some fine grit sandpaper and painted the first coat. That dried overnight, and the next morning I sanded again and went in with the coat number 2. The board still didn't look great, but they were so smooth. I will definitely be sanding in between coats from now on. I will definitely be sanding in between coats from now on. But boy, that process is hard. I almost vowed to just get veneered plywood moving forward. Then I remembered how much I hated the look of most veneers. The third and final coat made the boards look so good. Am I saying that right? Not only were they smooth, they were gorgeous, even along the edges. Then it was assembly time. The process was as expected. I didn't do it, so I can't speak on how that went, but it left lots of holes for me to once again fill in and sand down. The side tables without a middle shelf aren't fully complete, but I will be sharing their final look in a series of short videos. So follow us on TikTok and subscribe here on YouTube to see what they look like. I don't have favorites, but those are my favorite. You can fit a basket with extra throw blankets and pillows, which is so handy. The legs were looking a little bit too plain for me, so I thought maybe we could do a checkered pattern on them, and I love how it turned out. After a few tries, this is the method that I ended up using that worked the fastest for me. So if you'd like to try it out, just hopefully the video is making it clear on how I did that. The best part was that the legs were 5 centimeters wide and the tape was 2.5 centimeters wide, which was perfect. So I put the tape on one side and then I would mark 2.5 centimeters on the tape. Here's the reveal. What do you think? Did we do a good job? I'm personally proud of how our skills are developing and can't wait to jump into the next project.